Hey guys, I hope you're good. This is Max from MHS Prod, and today we will do an amazing Houdini tutorial for beginners. You will be able to follow this tutorial even if you never used Houdini before. Okay, so I recently made a post inside the Houdini Facebook group with this image, and it has a bit of success. Some people ask me if I will do a tutorial for my Patreon or if I have any channel or site to recommend for learning Houdini. The thing is, we made a really nice Patreon with advanced course and also really beginner courses for people coming from Cinema 4D. So you can join and you will be able to go from level to level, like grabbing basic knowledge and then diving into more complex things like creating patterns with vex coding or even creating growing system. I hope you guys will enjoy this tutorial. As it's really simple, I will make it for free and will be available on our YouTube. And today we will see how to create those kind of shapes. So it's really fun, really catchy, and you can create a lot of things. And that's what I love inside of Houdini. With one technique you can create so much. Of course, you can approach this with a lot of different ways, and today I will show the simplest use. So I hope you guys will enjoy and will be at least able to create this one or this one. And if you check out some of our Patreon lessons, you will be able to create more of those and create different effects. And it's all coming from the technique show today. Okay, now let's create something. I will go here, hit tab on my keyboard and type sphere. Right now I will double click to dive into it, and I will change the primitive type to polygon. A primitive in Houdini can be a whole thing, or it could be, for example, facet. Houdini is a nice software, but some words are a bit different from the other software. So if you want to learn a bit more about it, I really recommend you to check out the official help. For example, you will learn that a primitive is a unit of geometry lower than object but above point. It could be a polygon face, packed primitive, polygon soup, volume, metaballs. So it's really nice to check out all this if you feel a bit lost, because we will always talk about this and have like our special language in Houdini. In Houdini there's a concept called loops, and it's really nice. You will have the for each loops and the for loop with feedback. For each loop will allow you to apply something to each point, each primitive, or each connected pieces. So we'll be able to apply, for example, something to each primitive, so each facet here. And the for loop with feedback will allow you to create an operation into it. So for example, let's have an extrude, and you'll be able to repeat it big number of times. So it will create 10 times this operation. But the nice thing is I can also use metadata and use those metadata to create variation. So I can tell, hey, for each iteration I want a different color. So I will basically create 10 times poly extrude, but for each poly extrude, for example, or each iteration, I can change color or any parameter, and it's really handy to create nice geometry or procedural things. So let's take a simple look at simple loops. So for example, let's dive into it and take for each primitive. So I will connect my sphere here, and if I go here I will be able to create something. So let's use the transform node, and I will put the transform here, and I want to modify the scale of each pieces. Here everything is moving together, because I need to center the pivot to each center of pieces. So I will type a simple expression, and you will see what we are talking about later. So you will need to type $CEX. Sorry for my accent, I come from Paris, I'm learning English. I try my best, but I know that I can make a lot of mistakes in terms of pronunciation. And CZ. And right now, all the pivot translate will be in the center of each primitive. So if I change here the uniform scale, you see that it's changing like that. And the nice thing about Houdini is you can achieve effects in a lot of different ways. For example, I could use the facet node. I can plug it here. I can create unique points. So unique points will create new points for any vertex sharing point. So that point will be shared. Okay. And right now I can use a node called primitive. And if I connect it, go to primitive, and I click to do transformation, I check pivot transform. You will see that it's already on using the expression CEX, CEY, CEZ. So here, if I change the scale, you see that it's producing exactly the same effect, and I can also code it using a wrangle. So there's a tons of ways to achieve the same thing, but loops are great because you can import things and data into it. So let's, for example, create a meta import node, and meta import node will allow me to change stuff. I will just show you an example really quickly. So I will use a wrangle, and don't do it. It's just to show you the possibilities of a loop versus just using facet and primitive. And here I will type a simple expression. So I will create a float value called iteration. This is Vex language, and it's a coding language of Houdini, and it's pretty nice to use to create things. And I will use an expression called detail, and detail will allow me to reuse other values that I will have here. And I need to connect it here if I want to use detail, and it will be 1 and with the string value iteration, because we created to detail attribute detail iteration and new iteration. And I will close the parenthesis, and I will create a condition. So if iteration equal to 0, so it will select the iteration number 0. You can see that here I can like select the 0, iteration 0, iteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah blah blah. So here I have all the iteration. So here I will just change the color of the piece 0 as an example. I will open the bracket, and again, don't be afraid of that. You will learn how to do this after several hours of training in Houdini. It's normal if it's intimidating, because if you never code something, it's it's a bit like strange to see words producing a result. And you see here I've created color, and I can change, for example, the iteration number, and I can change thing. I can create, for example, random values, and then I can copy paste it or use different expression to create several things. So the loop is pretty nice because you can go through each primitive or points or each things in your object, and you can apply something to it. Phew, that's really nice. But today we will not use this type of loop. So it was just for me to explain the principle of loop inside of Houdini. Again, I'm not the a great Houdini guy or any kind of super experienced guy in Houdini. I hope it's clear for you. And let's create now for loop but with feedback. And for loop with feedback will allow me to repeat a big amount of time an operation. I will also create a group, and this group will be a primitive group, and let's leave the name as group 1. I will just disable it at the moment, because here I can apply the extrude to all the individual pieces or the whole object, but I can also choose to apply it to only one group. And I'm explaining in depth groups and how to select and create things like that in the first Houdini Patreon. So if you have like $9, I highly recommend you to check out the three or four first lessons, because they are really nice to understand Houdini. And now I will create an extrude. So let's create poly extrude, and let's go here and change the iteration number to 2, and let's tick multi-thread when compiled, so it will be a bit faster. And now if I create something, let's go to individual elements and take let's change a bit thing, and you see it's pretty great. You see it's like doing 1 time the operation, 2 time the operation, 3 time the operation, 4 time the operation, and I will be able to create a bunch of amazing things. Or see, for example, I like this first pattern, and I want to use again another poly extrude thing. I can go here and add another poly extrude, and this one will be again individual element. Maybe it will increase the distance, but it will have a big value of inset, maybe not that much. And maybe you can twist things and you can animate things to create variation, and that's a nice way to create things. And again, maybe I will just create something simple. Maybe just something like that, and here I can have a bit more fun, and I can have bigger number of division to create different patterns, and I can all animate them. Here I will use a node called reverse. If I see that every thing is inverted, I can use reverse and have it back to normal, and it's creating like super nice type of geometry. So pretty great. And again, I can use, for example, the VDB. So use VDB from Polygons, VDB from Polygons here, VDB from Polygons 0.005. Maybe that's a bit too high. Let's see. You see it's cooking. Yeah. And now I can use VDB convert VDB. And let's have this back to polygons. And yeah, I've created some kind of shape with no holes. It's again, it's a bit messy, but you can still smooth it. It will be a bit longer if your object is complex, but yeah, let's see what's going on. I can have bigger strength. Yeah, and so I can create really interesting shapes only based on this, and all of this was used to create all the little image I show you. So this pattern and this pattern was used exactly using extrudes. So here it's an extrude with another extrude with another extrude animated, so it's a bit moving like that. And here again it's a big extrude, and inside an inner extrude with a lot of twists and divisions to create this pattern. And all those are a bit more complex shapes made with a bit of the other techniques I'm showing on Patreon, with how you can connect pieces, connect adjacent pieces, create a bit more things. But that's the whole principle of using loops. And I can quickly show you the exact node system for the thumbnail of the tutorial. So you will be able like to create exactly the same thing. It's opening. Yeah, it's open. So it was this one. Let's move a bit in the middle, and you see it's really simple. So I have my sphere. Here I've created my group with the front extrude, and here you can see that you can change the way it works by using only the a group. So here if I type group 1, it will change the way it's working. So it will only work on the front extrude thing. So if I again duplicate it and add it, it will only apply it to the front extrude. So it's pretty nice to create different effects. But yeah, so here it's applied to each part. If you remove group 1 and group 1, you see it's creating this. But if you want to only stick to the front extrude, you need to stay with using the group, and you can create growing things. So it's up to you to select which face you want to extrude. And here it's like creating something with a bit of animation. And then it's just subdivided to create this really nice and fun shape. I love the way it evolves, and then only using VDBs and smooth. Again, if you guys are curious about how I light this, I can show you how I light this. So I'll just export it, and to make the render, I've done it into Cinema 4D because sometimes it's faster for me to render in Cinema 4D. Okay, I have my object here. Because I use Octane inside Cinema 4D, but in Houdini I prefer using Redshift, and I can make tutorials on Redshift. It's pretty simple to use, and it's really similar than Cinema 4D, but Cinema 4D. So let's see how it works with Octane and how I made my lighting stuff. I hope the tutorial is not getting too boring, and I hope you guys will enjoy playing with the technique I show you today, because it's a really simple technique. But again, let's see how we can go further with it. So that's my object. I will create a small light setup using an HDRI light. Again, if you are not using Cinema 4D, you can just watch, and the principles are the same in each software. So if I use like HDRI in Cinema, it's exactly using a HDRI in Houdini or in Blender. Okay, I have my object right here. I will create a specular material and see. I can have more depth, maybe in specular depth. I mean paste tracing mode. That's my default settings. And I love using the medium, so I will create a scattering. It's a subsurface scattering. Let's use a RGB spectrum, copy shader, paste shader. And here I've chosen some kind of funky colors. Maybe let's select some reddish, and here you'll have the scattering, so you can have something a bit different. Just play with colors, and a lot of time opposite colors just works well and nice. But here I'll stay with this sort of pink, and here maybe go with blue. I don't know, I'm just trying things to get this nice scattering look. I will have less density. I can play a bit with roughness to get something a bit more like a jelly. And again, if I want more color, I can add a bit of transmission to really have something more colorful. And again, just can play with the HDRI to get something nice. You can just change the HDRI to change the way it looks, because its subsurface scattering is really influenced by which light you will use and how you will light your scene. It can be super nice, and it can be super ugly in minutes. See, that's not really interesting in terms of lighting. So I just using different techniques and different approach till I find something I like. And again, that's like the basic lighting, and then you can finish it using the sorry, I'm just focused on my on the render. You can finish it using other lights. Just play with the light, change color, change the way it looks, change things to make the things more appealing till you get the result you like. It's great looking. And yeah, that's how I made it. Of course, you can rotate the sky just so you get maybe better reflection, something maybe better. And yeah, just have fun till you get the look you want. So I've made a bit of tweaking till I've created this jelly look, and I've added a bit more texturing work, adding bump and bit more things. And yeah, that's basically the technique for this. I hope you guys enjoyed this really small Houdini tutorial. I mean, to create this and this image, absolutely no secret. It's just playing with extrudes. with or without keeping the front extrude. And yeah, just need to then play with the other features in Houdini, but just staying with an object, the loop, and just extrude, and you will be able to create a bunch of amazing shapes. And thank you guys again for watching. If you want to go through the Patreon and learn how you can create all those super nice effects, how you can create this, we have a bunch of super nice tutorials even to create those geometry. I'm just displaying a bit what you can do with Houdini without too much level. You can create those structures. Really interesting, really fun, I really love Houdini to improve the creativity. It's pretty great. And I've made a free tutorial how to create this growing system. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.